I want to do it at cookouts here, like family cookouts here. And it's like, well, we don't have to play with beer. We can play with water. But then am I teaching my children? Like, is that the right thing to do? It's a fun game. It's hand-eye coordination, no matter what. You're shaking your head no. No, it's not the right thing to do.
For the past 3 decades, I have had a not-so-secret obsession simmering beneath the layers of an average American life. The time has come to seek the community of like-minded true believers. This is the road to Beard Eye Nation. Episode 3, The Elephant in the Garage. We are 2 episodes along the road to Beard Eye Nation. In the last episode, the Choir of True Believers got you in a room with Beard Eye as best they could via podcast, which followed their advice from episode 1 on how to get prospective players to accept the elevator pitch. Before we continue our journey in earnest, I wanted to share the results of a recent field study I gave in putting this practice into action. What did you guys think when I was giving my spiel? Like, what was going through your heads when you were like, what
please
the
shut
hell?
the fuck up.
My immediate reaction to anybody that's that excited about something is to go the other way. I don't trust it. I'm nervous. It's cult-like. I'm afraid I'm going to end up somewhere naked in a corner. So I was afraid, but I could tell your enthusiasm.
As you hear from my friends who I've made as an adult, you can sense the touchiness of introducing this game to a group who are not only currently sober, generally logical, and decades beyond the drink 15 light beers in 3 hours demographic, but also are people you hope will continue including you in various social activities. Luckily for me, my new friends already like me enough to let me risk all of my accumulated social capital as their buddy on trying to get them into a garage with a Beard Eye table. But they had one condition. What made you think to be like, so we'll play if you, as Mike says, shut the fuck up, if you get some of your friends to come in? Did you think I could make that happen?
I wanted to put enough pressure on you to do it. I felt the only way I was going to get the real experience is if we did it with people who did it.
Other professionals.
Yeah, if we just did it, if it was you as the guy who had done it with like 4 or 3 other novices or like a group of novices, I would have felt it would have been too like one-sided enjoyment and teaching for everybody else. And it by the way, when you did it and invited your friends, it was exactly how I felt it to be. I felt it like there were 3 sage prophets, Beard Eye prophets, who were like bestowing their niblets of wisdom, and while we enjoyed,
So I'm just bored with this conversation, so I can't even imagine what it is.
It's fun
because
it was fun.
I saw some clips of guys.
I'm thinking,
playing
Keith,
in
shut the fuck up.
college. It was
Yeah, he's recording.
When you were in college? While this logic is wise and thoughtful, it masks maybe a little more devious hidden agenda. You see, these particular guys have only ever heard of one of my friends from college visiting me down here in the 10 years I've been here. They knew I attended a mostly regional liberal arts college in a different time zone on the other side of a mountain range. So this condition of theirs to play Beard Eye, they had to be banking there was a good chance I couldn't make this happen. Luckily for me, my old friends belong to the Choir of True Believers, and after one bubble on a text chain, I had a yes from California, a maybe from Illinois, and a few weeks later, I got an itinerary notification from the smartest person we went to school with, booked from the upper Midwest to RDU, 1.5 years after his first visit. 2 of them flew in on a weekend. My wife was back in Iowa City at a girls' trip, and my 16-year-old son could be compensated for the inconvenience of transforming our garage into a Beard Eye arena. Fortunately for him, he neither does what I say nor what I do. And with that, my old friends have my new friends in a room, albeit a garage, with Beard Eye. Did you guys enjoy it? Like, what did you think when it was actually going on?
I was thinking, this is surprisingly athletic for what it is,
Yeah,
considering you're sitting in a chair and throwing up a die and trying to catch it. What I felt like was a middle school shortstop doing infield drills. That's what I felt like while drinking. But yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, man.
While you can hear my friends definitely got and enjoyed Beer Die, and you can also hear that the only one in this conversation who sort of speaks negatively about it was the guy who missed it because he was out of town. As another aside on this, isn't it wild how he kind of sounds like the people in Field of Dreams who couldn't see the players out there? Well, anyway, even if you don't become a true believer, you don't have to plow your corn under to enjoy this game. But enjoying this game always has a cost.
It's fun.
It was fun. It was fun as fuck.
I liked it.
Enjoyed. Yeah. I mean,
Fun.
when was the
Next
last
page.
time I drank 18 fucking Bud Lights in a night? It's probably been 15, 20 years. So, yeah, you could see the fun factor.
My new friend's willingness to play again, maybe once every 6 months or so, was definitely promising. And we all agreed that we would have to create sort of senior teas when it comes to how many drinks we have in a cup. My old friends and I taught the game at the original 4 drinks to a cup, so my new friends could know viscerally that at some point in time, their buddy was no joke. But in all practicality, guys pushing 50 can get just as much enjoyment at 6 or even buzz drinks to a cup playing this game. But this conversation does bring up the elephant in the garage that I feel I had to address before the rubber meets the road to Beer Die Nation. I found a forthcoming partner for this conversation from the choir of true believers.
My first time encountering it was my sophomore year in high school when I was visiting my sister, who was a freshman at the time, and this amazing group of friends that she had. And I get to campus, and as a 15-year-old, and I'm, you can imagine the mindset of a 15-year-old, even coming from a city like Denver and a big high school, the difference in being around these older kids on a wet college campus
In the 90s, right?
Exactly. This is 97. This is fall of 97, her freshman year. And so by the time I got to Lake Forest my freshman year, 3 years later, I'd already been playing for 3 years. And I was telling kids on campus in Roberts Hall, because freshmen get there first and upperclassmen don't arrive for a few days. I'm telling everyone about this. Oh, wait till you see this game, Beer Die.
As you might have guessed from how early his potential was identified by the order, the force is strong in this young brother, and he is always on the lookout for fellow acolytes.
Here's one really short story that happened just last summer. I'm at Electric Forest, which is this massive 50,000 person annual music EDM festival, 5 days camping in Michigan. There are rows and rows and rows of aisles of people camping. I'm walking down the aisle of this general mission camping at this music festival, and I see these guys playing Die. And I stop, and we're comparing rules, and they're very different from the pure game that I learned at Lake Forest College. But true to the nature of the game, as soon as I stop, and even before I tell them that I know the game, they're like, "Hey, you want to play?" And I say, "Oh, it's you guys playing Die?"
You're about to be like, do we play this for money?
and they were good. It was standing, and the drinking was not the same component, and that was the main part of the story. Just in the middle of nowhere at this random music festival last June, I stumble upon a Die game, and I'm late. I miss the act that I wanted to see because I preferred playing Die, right, with strangers.
Given his partying resume and powers far exceeded my own for a long time, I was surprised that, unlike other famous prodigies taken into their orders early in life, this one has never joined the dark side.
I really appreciated some of the level setting you did around this, just because as a former public health professional, I have mixed feelings kind of remembering many parts of Beer Die. And one thing when I encountered 4 strangers playing Beer Die at a music festival that I was telling you last summer, they were playing by a different set of rules. And one big difference was They were not counting drinks. And so they were just drinking casually while playing the game. While the game that I learned, an inescapable reality is how much drinking is involved and how it impacts you as a player and the incredible amounts of alcohol that you're sometimes consuming. And so while I was in my mind being judgmental about these so-called kids playing the game differently than how I had learned it, I did appreciate, frankly, that they weren't just completely binge drinking like I always was.
I alluded in the first episode to the fact that my current career is in the field of dentistry. I've been educated in the danger of both chronic and acute alcohol consumption. I've also been a participant in American life for nearly half a century and can count many personal failings, injury, and regret to the presence of alcohol in my own life. I have at least 2 hands worth of close friends and family members whose lives have been defined by alcohol abuse at a level far more pathologic than my own. So how in the name of GV Black do I spend time essentially celebrating a lifetime of friendships and attempt to create new ones when the framework that undergirds our common bonds is a form of structured and potentially dangerous binge drinking? I'm not going to be here to make the case that the virtues of Beard Eye somehow outweigh the underlying vice. But it took the wisdom of the Padawan of my Padawans to help me see that this conflict is unavoidable and must be embraced to properly continue the journey. There's a lot of people who aren't involved in this podcast who I've spent a lot of time with who are in recovery. And I don't know, I don't have a great way of reconciling all of that now. And it's sort of a weird place I find myself in with this, because I know all of this logically, right? And I know the risks I've taken, but I hope that this shows that what I've gotten out of doing this, I don't know that it's defensible, but at some point you can't escape your own reality, and you've got to celebrate your passion, or you've got to explore your passion. But it's definitely an issue, right? Because it as you said, it's inescapable. Because what makes the drinking is the physical leverage that you use for the psychological things you do to win and the physical things you do to win. It is like the threat of like I've always thought that like a sink in Beard Eye is like a huge hit in football or hockey, or a huge rejection that like a big loud rejection that goes out of bounds in basketball is fucking nothing. It's like a pause. It's a oxygen break in reality. But psychologically, it's Mutombo wagging his fucking finger, right? It could change the whole dynamic of what's happening there. And that's what drinking is in Beard Eye. It's leverage, it's competitive leverage. And the funniest thing is that if you play with water, you could play with nothing. You could just play with tossing a die and trying to catch a die, and you'd have a decent game. But it fucking sucks. It fucking sucks. Without that leverage, it's nowhere near as nuanced. You might as well be playing dodgeball. Dodgeball is as challenge. It's like playing a weird game of tennis. It's like playing tennis or a weird game of catch without that leverage. It makes it what it is. And I don't know how to reconcile that. I'm sorry.
Well, a few things. So
not
first,
to you, to the world, to
right.
the audience.
Oh, I know.
Right.
First, because it's top of mind.
Really to my patients who stumbled upon this. Let's call it what it is.
Okay. I'll start with that. I appreciate your reservations and kind of some angst about this thing. And I really appreciate that about you, but we're not talking about something that we were doing that was illegal. We're not talking about assault or something else. Binge drinking was happening at Lake Forest College anyway. One. And that we were excessively binge drinking doesn't mean we cannot look back and tell the story and acknowledge it, but we don't have to feel guilty by it. I won't, even though I too, for someone who has gone now, as of today, 70 days without alcohol, for probably the first time since I was 15. All right. Alcohol has played a huge part of my life, and alcohol is an essential part of Beard Eye. I remember learning the nuances of realizing successful teams, and two things that are critical to be a winning Beard Eye team are making your opponents drink more and making yourself drink less through constant body blows and being aggressive, and having sometimes designating a teammate to simply go for the cup every time, but also, not going long, not doing things that would score drinking points against you. And back then, none of us were afraid of, no one was afraid of the now very obvious negative impacts of being a habitual Beard Eye player could result and did result in alcoholism for people. That's a fact. But that shouldn't stop us from telling the tale and recognizing some really incredible and fun times that were had during that game. Both can happen at the same time. I really respect that.
I fully
about
agree.
you. And nothing I can't imagine there being negative impacts. I guess I won't say for you, but even for myself, if I were to tell the full story of my Beard Eye experience to anyone listening, I would be very honest about the alcohol component along with the rest, and I would not be guilty about any of it.
Darkness and light are often intertwined in the human experience, psyche, and soul. In the first 2 episodes of this series, we gave you the what and how. Now you know the who. Imperfect, conflicted mixes of saint and sinner, fully recognizing the vices, virtues, rewards, and costs of the road to Beard Eye Nation. These are acceptable as your guides. We hope you'll join us for the next stop as we tackle the why.
Where the challengers strut their stuff. Red solo cups and dice that fly beneath the endless open sky.
The Road to Beard Eye Nation is produced by the 9 Stories Up Investigative Department in association with Beanbag Studios. If you think you know a true believer, please let them know about the show. If you think you may be a true believer, please give us a Biz Star rating. If you think you may be part of the choir, please reach out to us via email at beardeyenationpodcast@gmail.com or Beard Eye Nation on the major social media outlets so we can tell your story in a future episode. The first Beard Eye Nation live reunion is taking place this July in the Chicago area. Please email us for more details or check out our website, beardeyenation.com. I'd like to thank the Excite Bike crew for sharing their brush with the choir of true believers on this episode. And of course, to one particular choir member who, despite all evidence we just heard, still might have some Sith training in him.
See, I was someone who, when I got to college, I had already been to hospitals in different countries because of alcohol. And at the same time, I had no problem vomiting. And so I could play, I knew what my limits were already. And I knew that I could play. And if I vomited, I didn't care. I would just have a trash can set to the side that I could literally purge into because it was a relief. I welcomed it. And so when
there's almost no one more dangerous than the younger brother of an older sister that parties. There's almost no one more dangerous than that.
Is a sink we all dive